sugar.
Right, so my name's Carol Ryan. I'm 40 years this July a hairstylist. I started my career in Petermark in Cullen, and I was known as a bounce stylist. So when I was trained and if they were stuck for a stylist to work in Tarranure, Rathfarnham, Ballyfermot, a few different salons, you'd be sent over, taxi would pick you up and you'd go over for the day, the taxi would bring you home. So I furthered my career then by going to number 74, number 74 I think it was, 64 or 74, can't remember, it was Petermark and Grafton Street. It was a colour salon. We did a combination of your everyday client to theatre work, which would be the two theatres weren't far away, so we had a lot of wigs and, you know, people doing plays and shows and that. So yeah, it was brilliant. We had about 30 stylists and juniors, and we had about 15 colourists, and there was 3 floors of a salon. So you did colour from one end of the day to the next. I absolutely loved it. I always said I'd love to just be a colourist in a salon, but unfortunately nowadays you have to be the all-rounder. I then furthered my career. I actually left Petermark and I went to work with a girl that worked in Petermark that opened up her own salon. So I went to work with her, and she got very ill, so I ended up at 20 years of age buying the salon from her. So that was my first salon I opened. I was there for 10 years in Walkinstown. Had a lovely clientele. They were all absolutely lovely. And then obviously with kids, you kind of say to yourself, you know, you're out working 24/7. You're paying for creches and baby minders, so it was easier to do a few hairs at home, be with your kids. I was lucky with that opportunity. Not everybody has that opportunity, but I could combine work with my lifestyle. So for a good few years now I did a lot from home, and I went to people's houses and did their hairs, and yeah. So then when I had, my first child was about 7 and started school, then I went to another salon. I started to go back out into the salon effect again, and I think it was purposely for 2 reasons. One, obviously to get out of the house, and 2 was to upgrade my skills. So I worked in a salon in Lucan, and I was there for about 5 years, and then I came back home again because obviously by then I had my second child. So then I took the step to move to Kildare, and I set up a salon outside my house. It was a log cabin, and kind of worked away there at that for a good few years. Now when I trained, it was a 4-year apprenticeship scheme. You worked Tuesday to Saturday in Petermark, you did 1 late night, and you had your training on your day off on a Monday. So it was literally a 6-day a week. You trained, you worked, and got paid very little. Nowadays, it's a 3-year apprenticeship degree with the National Apprenticeship Scheme that coordinates with Solace. The difference in me training was we were trained both theory and practical, but we were also taught an awful lot about the hygiene and science of actual hairdressing. Now, I would probably get blasted for saying this, but the younger generation now today, they're a different kind of trainee. They don't understand cleaning up after themselves. You know, they don't understand the depth of hygiene, washing brushes, cleaning brushes. I'm old school. We had 4-year training. So we trained with sets, we trained with straight hair, we trained with curly hair. We didn't have straighteners. The only thing that we would have had was the tongs, really. There's no such thing as a straightener. Steam pods, boho waves, all of that. You had to do that manually. So if you somebody with a really, really thick head of hair and wanted it straight, there'd be smoke coming out of your hairdryer by the time you were finished. Where now the younger generation, the new age hairdressers, just blast the hair dry and pull a straightener down on it.
My mum then comes in, has a cup of tea down, comes into the bed, between us all, she's like this. So how was your night? And my baby's looking at me, I told you. I said, no.
products as well. Nowadays, there's 101 products where you were really just based on a one product kind of shop. There wasn't a multitude of products. You had a hair for dandruff, a shampoo for dandruff, and you'd have one then for dry hair. Now you have shampoo for every kind of hair. Coloured hair, sun hair, it's a minefield of products. And the one thing I think too is technology. Hairdressing now doesn't really depend on what you've done or how you've done it, it's trend. So if somebody is trending the hairstyle, it doesn't matter whether it suits you or not, it's the trend. They need to get it done. So you would have a lot of the young people maybe setting their hairs in rollers for big waves, or now they're doing these heatless rollers at night time where they wrap their hair, which is very like, do you remember years ago your mum or your nanny would put in pipe cleaners in your hair to give you a ringlet? Do you remember that?
I do, yeah. My mother never did it though.
Yeah, well, we used to get pipe cleaners or rollers. Now the new teenagers of the world have these like wraps. And they're like a big long piece, and they just wrap their hair, and when they wake up in the morning then it's in a beautiful wave. So it's all about technique now, rather than with technique and trend. So you could get the same at blow drying your hair and putting a wand on it, but because the trend is heatless curls, everybody is out heatless curls and a bonnet. So yeah, so hairdressing has changed hugely. I'm not sure what a young hairdresser's concept of hairdressing is now. I don't. We knew we wanted to be hairdressers. We wanted to change a person's look, make them feel better. You know, it's now I'm not sure, looking at the younger generation, what their concept of hairdressing is. I don't know whether it's the loyalty of a stylist. You know, your stylist is someone who can be a counsellor, a psychologist. You could get somebody in that's really, really down the dumps, and you send them out feeling 100%. I mean, your hair is your crown. You know, I find if you're going somewhere and your hair's not done, your makeup, your clothes, nothing sits right. But if you have your hair done, that's nearly 70% of how you feel before you step out the door. Yeah, it's a difficult one now. The question of where do I see hairdressers in the future? I see a lot of hairdressers doing courses for 6 months to a year and limiting themselves to what they like, not to what they have to do. But if I don't like that, well, I don't want to do it, and I don't have to do it. So yeah, I love hairdressing. 40 years in July, body is breaking. Yeah, I think I'd like to go into teaching, but then again, it's a minefield of teaching. And I think too, hairdressing, you have to take pride in what you do. Cleanliness, pride. Be proud of when you're sending someone out and you're looking at them walking out the door and their hair is lovely. You know in your heart you've made them happy and they're going to go out tonight feeling comfortable. Their hair is nice. I don't know whether that's there anymore with hairdressing. Now I could be wrong. But yeah, I love my job. I love being a hairdresser. I find it hard thinking ahead, will I ever stop? Or will I have to stop? But yeah, I love being a hairdresser. So that's the day in the life of a hairdresser.